And to do that, really, it requires some kind of gusto. You jump in, you do the best you can within what you're doing, and really, the more fun you have, the more likely it is you'll get this. Do you know why that is? No? Okay, so let's look into that. Your brain has basically two modes of problem solving, right? Loosely described, this is not entirely true, but loosely described, it's the analytical mode, where you break a problem down step by step. Really, it's kind of the left brain mode, which is exclusive. In other words, you pull out things and you reduce it and you reduce it and reduce it until you understand the little thing that it's made of. That is really what the academic or scientific method is made up of. It's reductionist thinking, right? And it works great for what it works great at, and it's terrible for the things that it's not so good at, right? That style of analytical, logical problem solving works great when all the parameters, when all the details of the problem are clear. In other words, you know all the details of the problem and you know what it takes to solve that problem. A great example of that is maths. Does anyone have a problem multiplying 5 by 2? No? It's just me? Okay, good. Why? Well, you know what a 5 is, you know what 2 is, you know what multiplication means. And so the operations are very clear. It's now just a mental set of mechanics you work through to get a reliable answer. And hopefully everyone will come to the exact same conclusion. Make sense? Now, there's a separate problem-solving style the brain has. It's called the insight circuit, right? It is more dominated by the right side of your brain, does not require logical analysis, and it's the so-called leaps of intuition that come from this. Have you ever looked at something, suddenly been inspired, and you just knew how to do something or what you wanted to do, and you have no idea where it came from, it just kind of came over you, yes? That's the insight circuit being triggered. Has anyone here ever listened to a joke, thought, what the hell? And suddenly the penny drops, and it's the most hilarious thing you've ever heard. But it took you maybe a full minute before you figured out how funny this joke really was. And ever happened to you guys? Right? That's the insight circuit once again working. The beauty of the insight circuit, especially for those of you who really want to do this work with people, is it works in those scenarios where the rules are unclear. In other words, how you go about solving the problem is not clear. You don't have all the information. And the actual problem itself is itself unclear. In other words, you don't have 2 plus 2. It's basically, I have two numbers and they equal 10. What am I multiplying, right? That's more of the style of problem, although even that's kind of a little bit too mathematical in that sense, right? That the insight circuits will solve, right? The insight circuits are great, absolutely rock solid for social problems, social interactions, right? Why? Because there's a lack of clarity. You'll never have all the information you need. The only way you'll have all the information you need is if you spend a lifetime reviewing their lifetime up to that point, and by then they won't need you anymore, right? If it takes you 40 years to solve a 40-year-old problem, that's too slow. Go to Freudian school, right? A little dig there. You like that, huh? I can be Cassie sometimes. He's not here anymore. So why am I saying all of this? Well, the number one condition for triggering insight is joy. It's a feeling of happiness, joy, positivity. Positive emotion open up the insight circuits. The negative emotions shut it down, right? So you're better off doing an exercise like a fool, having no idea what you're doing, and loving it, than trying to get it right and beating yourself up that you've missed a step. Does that make sense, guys? Because you'll be using the right circuit when you are enjoying it. And then you have a chance of having that intuitive leap that gets you beyond all the technical details that your conscious mind just can't keep up with. And even those of you who've been in the school, you're going to have a real problem keeping up with all the technical details of the next 6 days. But it's okay. You don't have to. That's why you have an unconscious mind. Think about how much stuff you know, and you don't know how you know it. Now, some of you are already nodding. Who taught you what a nod means? Did your parents sit you down and say, listen, young man, young lady, when someone does this, It means they agree. Agreement is defined as. Is that how you learned what it means? No. You learned implicitly, unconsciously. You absorbed it from their environment. There's an old saying, I think it's very true. If you look at the 5 people a person most hangs out with, you can tell almost everything about them. You can tell how wealthy they are, how happy they are, how successful they are. You can tell their values. And you don't even have to meet the person. If I meet your 5 closest friends, the 5 people you spend most of the time with, I can write a profile about you that will seem scarily accurate. Why? Because we absorb from our environment unconsciously. It's called implicit learning. It's a very natural, simple, easy, effective way of absorbing information. And all you really have to do is expose yourself to an environment that does things at a slightly higher level. Has anyone here ever been in an environment where you learned a skill at a medium level and average level, and then somehow you had a chance to work with a group that works at an exceptional level? Have you ever had a chance to do something like that? Hands up. What happened when you joined that other group? Let's ignore the first few days or weeks where you are scrambling to catch up and going, oh my God, I don't think I belong here, right? Let's go skip past that part. That's basically your conscious mind having a little panic, right? Once you settle down, what happened to your skill set?
Through the roof.
It went through the roof, didn't it? Yeah. Right? That's implicit learning in action. And folks, you are here in a room with people who spend, about a quarter of the people here spend 1.5 years diligently practicing skills like this already, right? Another quarter have been spending 1 year doing this. The rest of you have a lot of experience. So this is a good room for us to elevate each other's level. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. But it takes one thing. You've got to dive in and participate and throw yourself in with gusto. Any thoughts of, I don't know this, I can't do this, and so on, they're not useful. They're irrelevant because you don't have to do it. It's your other mind that will do it. All you have to do is start and let it start to happen. Is this beginning to make sense to you guys? Right? So the good news is, this is going to be a lot easier than you think. Right? Or, as I like to say, it is going to be a lot easier when you don't think.